An ice-cold Dr. Pepper could revive me at my wake. I'm up.
Imagine yourself seated in a grand theater, the kind where the velvet curtains seem to breathe with anticipation and the orchestra tunes their instruments with a quiet confidence. The crowd hums with excitement, waiting for the magic to begin. Then, the lights dim, the music swells, and the stage comes alive with one of the most celebrated musicals in history, Evita. But tonight, the anticipation is even higher than usual. The reason? Rachel Zegler, the actress who shook Hollywood to its core with her controversial turn as Disney's live-action Snow White, is headlining as Eva Perón. This was not just another performance. It was supposed to be her chance at redemption, a stage where she could silence the critics and remind the world why she was once called Hollywood's brightest rising star. The audience leaned forward, eager to witness whether Rachel could carry the weight of such a demanding role. She glided across the stage, her voice soaring through the theater, her presence commanding. It seemed, for a fleeting moment, that she might finally reclaim her crown. And then, disaster struck. Just before one of the most iconic moments of the show, Rachel vanished. No warning, no graceful exit, no whispered explanation from the wings. One moment she was there, the spotlight illuminating her as Eva Perón, and the next she was gone, swallowed by the darkness backstage. The orchestra stumbled, the cast froze, and the audience sat in stunned silence. This wasn't a minor wardrobe mishap or a technical glitch. This was a full stop, an unraveling of the performance in real time. Whispers broke out. Phones lit up the rows as people scrambled to make sense of what they had just witnessed. Was it illness? Was there some kind of fight backstage? Or was it something more serious? The culmination of months, if not years, of relentless pressure and controversy catching up to her? To understand the weight of that moment, we have to go back. Rachel Zegler wasn't just another actress trying to make it in Hollywood. A few years earlier, she had been hailed as the future of the industry. She had the look, the talent, the voice, all the makings of a star. When Disney cast her as Snow White in its live-action remake, the company believed it was sitting on a billion-dollar gold mine. But instead of enchanting audiences, Rachel stirred outrage. She criticized the original Snow White story, calling it outdated and problematic. Her comments may have been intended as a modern feminist critique, but to millions of fans, they came across as dismissive of a beloved classic that had shaped their childhoods. The backlash was swift and merciless. Social media exploded with hashtags calling for boycotts. YouTubers dissected her interviews frame by frame. Overnight, Rachel went from Disney's golden girl to the face of Hollywood arrogance. And when the movie finally hit theaters, it was a catastrophe. Empty seats, dismal reviews, and losses in the hundreds of millions. The narrative was set. Rachel Zegler had destroyed Snow White. For most actors, that kind of career implosion would call for a retreat, a period of quiet reflection, maybe even a rebrand. But Rachel took the opposite route. She leapt into one of the most demanding roles in musical theater, Eva Perón in Evita. If Snow White had been her downfall, Evita was supposed to be her resurrection. At first, it looked like the gamble might pay off. Headlines buzzed about her casting. Ticket sales spiked. Audiences filled the seats not just to watch Evita, but to witness Rachel's comeback. Some hoped to see her shine again. Others came only to watch her fail. Either way, people were paying attention. Then came July 24th, 2025. Earlier in the day, Rachel had delivered a strong matinee performance. All seemed well. But during the evening show, packed with fans and critics alike, everything unraveled. Halfway through the first act, Rachel disappeared. The orchestra faltered, the cast improvised, and confusion spread like wildfire through the theater. Minutes dragged by. Finally, an announcement came over the speakers. Rachel Zegler would not be returning. Her understudy, Bella Brown, would finish the performance. The audience erupted. Some booed. Others gasped in shock. Phones came out instantly. Footage spread online within minutes, and chaos exploded across Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube. Rachel's team released a simple explanation: illness. But few bought it. If she had been sick, why perform at all? And why leave so abruptly, in the middle of a scene, in front of hundreds of paying fans? Theories took over. Some whispered about a backstage breakdown. Others suggested a fierce argument behind the curtain. A few even claimed she had walked off on purpose, unable or unwilling to keep going under the crushing pressure. What should have been her triumphant redemption arc had turned into yet another scandal. Instead of rewriting her story, Rachel Zegler had added another haunting chapter to it. According to many observers, whatever the truth behind Rachel Zegler's sudden disappearance from Evita, one thing was undeniable: this was more than just a bad night. In the theater world, mistakes happen, missed notes, forgotten lines, even last-minute cast changes, but for a lead actress to abandon the stage mid-performance without explanation, that wasn't a stumble. That was a collapse. Theater is not only about raw talent. It is about presence, professionalism, and consistency. When the lead vanishes, the entire production suffers. The ripple effect spreads from the orchestra pit to the balcony seats, and in Rachel's case, that ripple became a tidal wave. Her abrupt exit didn't just disrupt a single performance, it dragged every criticism and rumor that had haunted her for months back into the spotlight. Almost instantly, online forums erupted. Reddit threads swelled with speculation. Fans posted video clips showing Rachel backstage earlier that same evening, laughing, chatting, and appearing perfectly healthy. No sign of illness, no hint of someone on the verge of collapse. The footage only fueled more suspicion. Was it really sickness? Or had there been a meltdown behind the curtains? Some swore she'd had a heated altercation with crew members. Others hinted at artistic disputes, clashing egos, and tense rehearsals finally boiling over. And then came the twist that made it all worse. Bella Brown, the understudy, stepped in. She didn't just finish the show, she nailed it. Videos circulated online of Bella hitting every note with calm precision, ending the night with a standing ovation. When your lead just walks off and the understudy cleans up the mess, that's not a good look, one viral TikTok declared. Comparisons flooded social media, some cruelly suggesting they couldn't even tell the difference between Rachel and Bella. For an actress once hailed as Disney's golden star, that kind of commentary stung deeper than any review. Rachel tried to get ahead of the story. She posted a gracious note praising swings and understudies, applauding their importance to theater. On the surface, it sounded elegant, the sort of statement any professional might release. But many fans weren't convinced. To them, it felt less like sincerity and more like a carefully crafted attempt at PR damage control. And once the internet decides you're being disingenuous, sympathy evaporates. The truth is, Rachel wasn't entering this storm from neutral ground. She was already dragging the baggage of Snow White. Disney's live-action remake hadn't just flopped, it had become the poster child for woke Hollywood gone wrong. Online critics labeled it tone-deaf, lifeless, and soulless, pointing to Rachel as its face. Her outspoken comments about the original fairy tale only worsened the backlash, convincing audiences she had disrespected a beloved classic and failed to offer a worthy replacement. The numbers didn't lie. Disney had spent over $250 million on production, yet by the fourth weekend, the box office had barely scraped $140 million worldwide. Theaters pulled it from screens early, and images of empty showings flooded social media. It wasn't merely a failure. It was an embarrassment. And because Rachel had been the public voice of the project, much of the blame stuck to her. So when the Evita incident happened, it wasn't seen as an isolated accident. It was viewed as part of a pattern. Another opportunity squandered. Another public disappointment. This time, even Rachel's supporters hesitated. Actress Nicola Coughlan tried to show solidarity with an Instagram post praising Rachel's talent, but her words were drowned out by the chorus of criticism. Meanwhile, whispers from inside the theater world began to spread. Reports of tense rehearsals. Stories of Rachel requesting unapproved changes. Rumors of conflict with directors and castmates. Though nothing was officially confirmed, the smoke was thick enough that many believed there was fire. Some even claimed leaked rehearsal clips showed Rachel being quietly led off stage, though those videos never surfaced publicly. And here lies the brutal truth. Broadway doesn't forget. The industry thrives on trust, and once an actor is labeled difficult, opportunities vanish. Directors talk. Producers hesitate. No matter how gifted you are, talent alone doesn't guarantee longevity. Reliability and professionalism carry equal weight, and those were the very qualities Rachel's critics now claimed she lacked. Her story didn't unravel overnight. It was a slow-motion disintegration, a string of missteps magnified under the unrelenting glare of fame. From Disney's billion-dollar miscalculation to her Broadway collapse, Rachel's journey from rising star to cautionary tale became a case study in how quickly Hollywood builds you up and how mercilessly it tears you down. Now, as the dust settles, the questions are harsher than ever. Not just what went wrong, but what comes next. Can Rachel Zegler claw her way back from the shadows? Or has the curtain already fallen on her career before the story ever truly began? They want to know whether she will ever recover from this setback, and it's a fair question because her story is now at a crossroads. There's no doubting her inherent talent. Rachel Zegler shines when she is in her element. Her magnetism on television interviews, the way she commands a stage, and her natural vocal range are all qualities that very few can deny. She once seemed destined to be a definitive choice for Snow White, a role many considered tailor-made for her youthful energy and distinctive charm. That kind of attention, however, is a double-edged sword. Broadway certainly took a risk when they cast her as Eva Perón in Evita, a role that demands stamina, intensity, and emotional depth every single night. It wasn't just a job, it was a test of endurance and discipline. Yet in the entertainment industry, skill alone isn't enough. Talent may get the door open, but what sustains a career is resilience, professionalism, and reputation. That's where Rachel's story begins to unravel. Behind the scenes, whispers started growing louder. Rumors circulated about heated arguments with directors, frequent tardiness to rehearsals, and even unapproved changes made mid-performance. Whether or not every detail is true has almost become irrelevant because in Hollywood and Broadway alike, perception is everything. If the narrative shifts against you, it tends to stick. Reports even suggested that members of the Evita crew became cautious around her, carefully avoiding situations that might trigger another emotional outburst. And while not every story may be accurate, the fact that such rumors exist and continue to spread creates its own reality. Of course, not everyone is rooting for her downfall. To be fair, a portion of her fanbase insists she is being unfairly targeted. They see her as a young actress daring to carve her own path, unafraid to voice her opinions, and unwilling to conform to Hollywood's unwritten rules. In their eyes, she's being punished for her outspokenness, her confidence, and for refusing to play the game that so many others quietly accept. But even sympathetic supporters can only defend so much. Confidence, when it tips into arrogance or when the end product visibly suffers, can alienate even the most loyal admirers. At some point, people stop excusing missteps and start questioning whether the problem lies deeper than the criticism suggests. Timing has also been her enemy. Rachel's decision to leave Evita midway through her run did more damage to her reputation than perhaps anything else. It wasn't seen as an isolated choice. Instead, it became a symbol, a shorthand for a larger pattern. A pattern of stepping into the spotlight, making a controversial statement, mishandling the backlash, and then retreating when the pressure is at its peak. In an industry built on consistency, reliability, and long-term trust, that kind of pattern is damaging. The irony, however, is that the entertainment world thrives on redemption arcs. History is filled with actors who have bounced back from scandals far worse: public meltdowns, disastrous PR incidents, and box office failures. The deciding factor is always the same: how they choose to respond to the aftermath. Some own their mistakes, learn from them, and return stronger than before. Others collapse under the weight of public scrutiny and quietly disappear. Rachel now stands at that fork in the road.
I'm actually floored. That's crazy that I got that right. I'm really crushing this, guys. I'm like shocking myself.
Her next move is everything. Will she acknowledge what went wrong, speak candidly about the Broadway fallout, the criticism over Snow White, and the lessons she's learned? Or will she rely on carefully crafted PR statements, hoping to wait out the storm until the public's attention shifts? The danger of the latter is obvious. Audiences today are quick to spot spin, and once they sense insincerity, they become even harsher. Yet the same audiences can also be shockingly forgiving when they see authenticity and growth. Producers, casting directors, and studios are watching closely. At the end of the day, their interest isn't in the drama or the headlines, it's in performance. Can Rachel Zegler show up, night after night, and deliver? Can she carry a film role, hold an audience's attention, and work collaboratively with those around her? That's what ultimately matters in an industry where reputations can be rebuilt, but reliability cannot be faked. Right now, Rachel Zegler remains something of a paradox, undeniably gifted, with flashes of brilliance, but weighed down by controversy and questions about her professionalism. If she wants to move forward, it won't be through chasing another viral moment or landing one more high-profile role. It will come from something far more difficult: persistence, humility, and consistency. Simply showing up, putting in the work, and proving she can be steady when it counts will speak louder than any headline ever could. For Rachel, recovery isn't about perfection anymore. It's about presence. And in show business, sometimes that's the most powerful performance of all.